Over the years there have been some iconic Formula 1 liveries, and in this video today I'm going to be going over my top 10 favourite F1 liveries of all time. If you do enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel, because hardly anyone who watches my videos is subscribed, so I'd really appreciate that. But let's get into my favourite liveries. I'm going to start off this list by doing 5 honourable mentions, because there are so many amazing, iconic F1 liveries that I couldn't fit them all into a top 10. So my honourable mentions are the 1990 Ferrari, the 1986 Lotus, the 1988 McLaren, yes that didn't make the top 10, the 2019 Toro Rosso and the 1992 Williams. That's just the honourable mentions. This is my own personal list, so there might be a lot of disagreement. I think my top 10 is reasonable, and I think there might be a bit of disagreement, but I'm very happy with this list I've got here. I just want to say quickly that this is just the livery, not the actual look of the car and the shape of the car and whatnot. It's just pure livery based. Maybe one day I'll do a video of my favourite F1 cars of all time, because it is different from the livery list. And also I might do a list of my worst F1 liveries ever. Starting off at number 10, we have the 2006 Honda livery. This was just after they bought out BAR, and BAR used Honda engines for a very long time, and Honda bought them out as a full factory team, and this was their first livery. The BAR livery was already incredible, and I actually had the 2004 BAR originally on my list, but I thought I'll take the 2006 one because I remembered that's where Jenson Button famously got his first win in that crazy race at Hungary, and I feel like I prefer the 2006 livery. I don't know if that's just because, I don't think it's because of the fact that this car Jenson got his first win in, but it's just like the little details that I prefer, I think. It's not as plain, I think, as the 2004 BAR. I feel like there's more, well, it factually is more sponsors. The Honda presence was bigger on the 2006 car, obviously, because they bought out the team. Why wouldn't it be? But yeah, that's number 10. The 2006 Honda, car name is the Honda RA106. At number 9, I've put the 2005 Toyota livery. Whenever I think about my favourite liveries, I think about the actual design of the livery. It's why there are no more Ferraris on this list, as crazy as that sounds, because normally it's just a red car with some white sponsors, or black in the case of Mission Winnow, which haven't even been on the car this year yet other than in testing. But I absolutely love the design of the 2005 Toyota. It was something they actually got right in Formula 1. It's very Japanese. I've always thought of it as like the quintessential Japanese F1 car. Whenever I think of a Japanese F1 car, despite them not doing very well, I will think of Toyota, because mainly the livery. It was perfect for Japan. So far then, my 10th and 9th favourite F1 liveries of all time are both Japanese F1 teams from 2005 and 2006. Don't worry though, believe it or not, there is some actual variety in my list, and the next car is not a Japanese mid-2000s F1 car. At number 8, we have the 1996 Rothmans Williams F1 livery. This is actually only one of 3 liveries on this list that is a tobacco-sponsored F1 livery, which is mad considering a lot of the iconic F1 liveries are from tobacco sponsors. Back in day, this is obviously a car that won both championships with Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve driving. It was pretty dominant, which is probably an understatement. It was beautiful. Rothmans is one of the best colour schemes ever in racing. I will always stand by that. If you go on any livery editor, go on GT Sport, Forza, Race Department for a set of Corsair skins, a Rothmans livery will always be right up there. It is iconic. Colours, they just work so well together, and that is my first non-Japanese F1 car on this list. At number 7 we have the last pre-2000s livery on my list, which is the 1999 Benson Hedges Jordan livery. The colour schemes, it just works so well. The yellow and black, black and yellow, whatever you want to say. I think the Mugen, I never know how you say it, but I thought they really incorporated that well with the livery. The 1999 Jordan did pretty well. I mean, Heinz-Harald Frentzen was kind of like just like a tiny bit in there with the title fight. Tiny bit. He had an outside shot. Definitely the best Jordan ever had. I think it was better than the Jordan 191 with the 7-Up livery that Michael Schumacher made his debut in. I think it's also the best livery that that team through all its names has ever had. So in Jordan, Midland, Force, Spiker, India, Aston, Racing, Martin Point. That was a massive freestyle. But I think this is the best livery that team has ever had throughout all its 30 years in Formula 1. It's probably, is it? It'll be 30 years next year, won't it? I think. But yeah, that is the Jordan 199. Every livery from now on is past the year 2000. At number 6, I put the 2013 Lotus livery. Now, I did debate whether to put this or the 1986 livery, which is not on the mentions in the top 10 list, but I went with the 2013 livery because, like I said with the Toyota livery, there's a bit more design to it. It's not just a plain car with some coloured sponsors on it. There's a bit more design. I think the gold and the red is incorporated really well. I like the fact that, unlike the 2012 livery, the names of the drivers, so Kimi Räikkönen and Roman Grosjean, it says Kimi and Roman just behind the airbox of the car, which I think is very cool. It did pretty well, this car. I remember though that Kimi didn't show up for the last few races because he wasn't paid by the team, which is a bit shitty. The 2013 Lotus, my favourite Lotus on the list. I forgot to say, it turns out this was complete by accident. Every livery on my top 10 list is from a different team, so that works out quite well. Let's move on to number 5, which is the most recent livery on this list. You can't get more recent than 2020. If you're somehow watching this after 2020, then it was 2020 when I made this video. Remember how crap 2020 was? Alright, we've done the first half of this list, now let's start with the second half, the top half. At number 5, the black Mercedes, the 2020 Mercedes W11. This car is a pain in the arse because it's so bloody good, but oh my god is the livery good as well. Obviously the meaning behind the livery is rather important to say the least, and it's very good that Mercedes even did this. In pre-season testing, when the livery was just silver and they announced the Ineos sponsorship, I thought it was a downgrade from last year. I don't know what it was, I think it just looked a bit cheaper. But this livery, it's incredible. It's the best livery on the grid by miles, I think. I think the only thing that gets close is the McLaren and the AlphaTauri. They're even dominant in the livery department, for God's sake. At number 4, the BMW Sauber F108 from 2008. Oh, I miss BMW so much in Formula 1. Unlike Toyota, they actually knew what they were doing. Like, they had the most powerful engine on the grid for ages. But this livery, this is, I believe, my favourite livery of the 2000s. No, it's not my favourite livery of 2000s. We will get onto that fairly shortly. I just always loved this livery. Seeing Robert Kubica win the Canadian Grand Prix and take the lead in the World Championship. But BMW like, nah, we're just going to focus on our 2009 car that's shit and then leave F1. But anyway, little rant over. It's incredible. I did have the 2003 BMW Williams livery, the FW25, which was driven by Montoya. That was here, and then I just looked at this and thought, nah, this is better. This is definitely better. Obviously, BMW, I think they pretty much wholly own Sauber. I'm assuming it was out of respect that they kept the Sauber name. Yeah, just an absolutely incredible livery. My second favourite livery of the 2000s and my fourth favourite livery of all time. Alright, the top three. This is where it gets very interesting. The number 3, a car that is quite close to my heart. The 2013 Red Bull RB9. Obviously, as a Seb fans, him breaking all those records that year was incredible. It's not just that, this is the best Red Bull livery ever. I love the fact that it was a bit more purple, even though blue is my favourite colour, so that doesn't really make sense. But I think it just looks better. I know they now use matte paint because it's lighter than glossy paint, but even that, the glossy paint is just nicer, isn't it? Red Bull liveries are always amazing. They always deliver when it comes to the livery side. This is my favourite Red Bull livery ever. No bias. You know when the F1 2013 classic menu soundtrack starts playing, you know things are getting serious. The runner-up in my favourite F1 liveries of all time is the Mile 7 2006 Renault livery. Obviously this is the car that Fernando Alonso won his second and final World Championship in. And my favourite colours are blue and yellow. This car is blue and yellow. I'm going to think that this is one of the best, but the way they did the blue and yellow, it's I'm trying to use a word that I haven't used 40 billion times already. It's magnificent, there you go. That's a very big stretch of trying to find the word. But, I mean, the 2015 Sauber is blue and yellow, but that's nowhere near the level of this car. I'm just really surprised that anything could even top this livery, because it is my favourite colours, one of my favourite designs. It's a classic there. It's a classic livery. But let's have a look now at my favourite F1 livery of all time. The Vodafone McLaren Mercedes, specifically the McLaren MP4 27. My favourite F1 livery of all time. It's just incredible. There's no other livery like it. It's as simple as that. There was no other livery like it. There may never be a livery like it ever again. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button drove this car for the majority of years. Also, Fernando Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen, off the top of my head, drove a Vodafone McLaren Mercedes. And Sergio Perez did for 1 year as well. In my mind, it's unbeatable. It's very hard to see how this livery will ever be beaten in Formula 1. But that's that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sure your list is very different to mine. But if you did enjoy this, feel free to like, subscribe, as it helps me out. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.